This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who excel and persevere in life while bathing in abundant self-love. So if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow and your mind grow. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in.
Welcome to another solo episode of the STUK on Self-Love podcast. I am so happy to be back chatting with you guys. It's been a minute, that's for sure. I needed some time. I think that the beautiful thing about our podcast and the fact that it's a self-love podcast is that we don't try to pressure ourselves too much about like, oh my God, a podcast every week or even every month, just as I wanted STUK as a business and a company to evolve as I do. My goal has also been for the podcast to do the same and to evolve naturally as me and Madeline and Tazine evolve. And as we evolve artistically also. So life has been super crazy for me. I guess I'll just get into it. And unless you've been living under a rock or just absolutely have no idea what the Epstein files are or anything like that, I mean, maybe you'd be confused, but I've also prefaced this this kind of conclusive story of an episode many times on my podcast, so I hope it'll make sense, and maybe if you listen to this before you've heard the other podcasts, it'll inspire you to go back and listen. But yeah, where do I start? So basically I have been experiencing extreme gang stalking for about since we started campaigning, and that's on the podcast episodes as well, but around the time we started campaigning, the gang stalking that I started to experience got really heavy, and it was more than usual. I'm used to, I don't know, I've always had people kind of attached to my energy or can be very obsessed with it, or I've experienced a lot of jealousy and this and that, but I never really fully grasped why or what the root cause of that was, and and then people just made it sound like I was being conceited or vain by saying that other people were jealous when it was just me speaking my truth. And I'm speaking out now because a lot of this has happened because I think almost all of this has happened because the reason is that people don't want me to speak my truth. And it's interesting because I first started STUK Designs because I really had a passion for ending trafficking. That was the first thing that drove me to it. My aunt was working at the time when I started STUK with a anti-trafficking nonprofit, so and they made a documentary, and so I kind of got really involved and understood a lot about human trafficking. I understood that it was heavily present in America and almost everywhere, but I had no idea how much so, and I also had no idea that it could possibly include me too. So I started experiencing all of this crazy up level of stalking after I campaigned for STUK Designs around 2020, 2021. And all of a sudden, there started being rumors spread about me, and I didn't understand why, I didn't understand what it was about, but whatever. They were terrible, heinous rumors about my mental health, about how I was unwell, unfit, about how I lie, about how all of this stuff, basically all of these people put everything that is true about them on me. So anyway, all of these rumors came up, and it was really confusing because I was like, why is this happening while I'm just trying to complete my mission and do my work? But regardless, that happened, and it really didn't stop. It still hasn't stopped since then. It's just you know, kind of undergone different phases, and then different people, because what has been happening and what I've come to realize is that my mom is actually not my mom. And I've talked about her a lot on this podcast. I've talked about her spreading rumors about me and the lies, and how like she was the main one who started to spread them. Well, she's not even my biological mother. And at this point, she's like, so just, she knows she's like a criminal at this point because she's just hiding, and she's not telling, she's still lying, but there's no point in propagating the lies anymore because like DNA proves I'm not her daughter. My grandma told me who my real mom is. My real mom is actually a celebrity, and that is the reason for a lot of the obsessive stalking that I've experienced. And I couldn't put it on, like, could not put my finger on it, because like in no way do I think that I'm just like I just couldn't get, like, what is it about me? Like, why can't you people seem to ever leave me alone? That seemed to be like, you know, what I was questioning, and I couldn't understand why, what the fascination was with, I'm just an artist, you know? Like, I don't even like being too much in the public eye. Really, it took like till my 30s to actually even like speak online. But now I see why, you know? So anyway, I had been visiting my grandma in this kind of like along these past couple months, like probably since I've recorded the last, you know, podcast, and I got to be closer to her, and I really got to sit at her feet and really understand who she is and what her presence within my ancestry means. And then and so then we started getting more close, and she started telling me more things, and she started telling me about her upbringing, and then I found out that the exact same thing happened to her, and she was gang stalked as well by various people and her own family, and she said she didn't come from a family that had a lot of love at all. And you know, she just really, she just wanted me to be safe and wanted me to be protected. So because she had been, you know, experiencing so many similar things, I would say, like, that I've experienced in my life, she knew ways and things to tell me to help keep me safe along my journey. And I'm so blessed because she was able to, like, to really get that across and to really help me to hone into my own power and my gifts, and also like who I actually am. So after a while of hanging out with her and getting closer with her and really tapping deeper into my ancestry, I found out that my mom is actually not my mom. She's not my biological mother at all. Apparently my dad and mom are both from New Jersey, and my dad and my mom were actually a love match, a real one, but that's not really allowed in Hollywood, if you understand and if you've read that deep into the Epstein files. But it confirmed that there has been for some number of years a anti-love agenda that is pushing like real love matches to not be, because they understand, of course, that like love equals power, and these are people who are at the top doing this are Zionists or in other cults like Masons, etc. They're just like obsessed with money and power, and love is the ultimate, can bring you the ultimate money and the ultimate power if you really understand how it works and you really understand how it all works. So they definitely don't want love matches coming together. And, you know, like, since, I don't know, like Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, they say Selena Gomez, that's not her anymore. They switched out her consciousness. They said that their kid, their actual biological child, was given to Kourtney Kardashian, you know? Like, so that's just one example. But if you look at their Kourtney Kardashian's younger son, he looks exactly like Justin Bieber and exactly like Selena Gomez. So what they do is, like, the powers that be are at top are Zionist. They are the white government regime in charge. Like, basically the American government is at this point being occupied by Israel. And so It's very complicated, but this has happened for a number of years, since around the 50s or 60s. And what they've been doing, because Zionists practice magic and they believe in a lot of dark magic, a lot of shamanistic magic, a lot of mysticism, and they do a lot of heavy spell work. And they have for many years. And what they do when they, like, within America, and how to basically in a fascist way occupy it or colonize it, they wanted extreme control. So they targeted these cults, because cults understand magic, you know, like the Zionists use magic. And through the cults, they started setting up trafficking rings for many kids, a lot of the time celebrity kids that they didn't want that to have these love matches. And because it would make us too powerful, it would make us come into our gifts like all the more powerfully, like if we were properly handled or cared for, you know, as children with completely loving parents who were completely in love, I don't know, life probably would be a whole lot different, right? So that's how like the trafficking ring works. But at this point, the UN is calling it a global criminal business, and basically cults and predominantly the Masons have been trafficking children for hundreds of years. My grandma said that this has been going on for many years, since she was a child. And they are, I want to say, I'm saying they as in Masons, because my grandma is a Mason, my family came from 4 or 5 generations back. Like, I want to say that's like why, but it's not exactly like they're not really the powers that be at top. Really the powers that be at top are the Zionists, and they have their magic is, I think, well, it's because they use a lot of blood ritual, blood magic and stuff, so I guess that can be potent, but a lot of people don't have the understanding of what they're actually doing when they're doing all this dark magic and stuff. So once people come into awareness that, you know, spell work, magic, manipulation is being done on them, it kind of like ceases the spell work to be. Anyway, so, you know, like, that's basically what my grandma experienced as a child growing up. She said she didn't know her father. Her dad, she said, left when she was very young. He had enough of the cult life and he wanted to leave. She thinks that they killed him, because that's usually what happens when you leave the Freemasons. So, you know, she was like, she was sad. She was saying that she wishes she had a relationship with her dad. Like, she wished she knew her dad. She said she looked just like him. She said her mom was mean to her. And her mom was just like very sad, and her grandma was even meaner to her. And she's always said that they would tell her, like, you think you cute, you think you so cute, you think you this, you think you that. And she was like, yeah, I do. And she said one day her grandma told her that, and she left and never came back. And, you know, my grandma is just like she's a Sagittarius, and Gemini and Sagittarius are sister signs, so she's very independent, and she wants me to have my independence. And she said that, you know, she thinks that I deserve what is rightfully mine. Like, you know, she thinks I have a right to what's mine. And I do too. And I think that, you know, my mother, who, you know, rest her soul, was taken out of this life too early and in a very dark way. I think she knows that as well. And, you know, like, all of my life, I always felt like there was something like higher, you know, watching me, or someone taking care of me. And I've always met all of these like very amazing mother figures. And you know, it's helped me a lot in my life, because even if I'm not looking for it or whatever, like, mother figures will show up for me and help me build, and like through so many of them have helped me build my career. Like Dr. McMurdoch at LMU, she was basically like my LMU mom, and I feel like she helped me with my work study job. She helped me get so many legs up at LMU. Like, I was so involved there because, like, the dean of students, vice president of dean of students, took me under her wing, yeah, so it's like I've always had these experiences of feeling like watched and looked over, even when I'm not physically. but I never really could put my finger on it. And then what a blessing it was that my grandma finally told me who my real mom is. And she was telling me that she wanted this time with me, and she wanted time with me because I don't have a mom. And she said, because you don't have a mother, I need to teach you some things, and I need to tell you some things, and I need to tell you how this is. So basically, like, my grandma was also trafficked at a very young age, and however, though, she was married like, I don't know, 3 times, I think. And so technically, like, when you're in like Masons or whatever, they tend not to bug you so much when you're married, and it's also very misogynistic, so yeah. But anyway, she ended up being able to kind of like dodge them with that, but she always wanted her own independence. One of my aunts was supposed to be a sacrifice also, but she stopped that from happening as well. And she's made some mistakes. I don't think she's not perfect, but she has a higher understanding of everything. And she was telling me that this stuff happens all over the world, and wherever I go now, like, there'll be people that watch and stalk me and look for me and see what I'm doing. And she, told me that, like, above all, I need to make sure that I prioritize my rest, because what they're doing is they try to exhaust me, and try to exhaust my mind and burn me out. And so, she wanted me to rest, and she wants me to be at peace, and to be able to eat good and live good and love good, and to have the best life. And so it was really difficult, because after she told me this, it got kind of awkward, because I wasn't supposed to know this truth, like, nobody in my family was supposed to tell me. They weren't even supposed to tell me that they've been in cults my entire life, like, they weren't supposed to say any of that. But she took one for the spiritual ancestry team and decided to tell me anyway, and I'm so thankful that she did. I will always love her 1,000% for that. But due to the fact that she told me, it's like our situation became very unsafe, and I was already being like trafficked and watched every time I went to visit her by this like gang stalking group, that has been attacking me. And so after a while, she told me not to come back, basically, which is really hard for me, because I really love her, and I miss her so much, and I love visiting her, but like, it became unsafe for me and unsafe for her, because everyone involved, people involved in my family, people involved just like in the cult in general, were using her basically as like some kind of almost like a cartel like wire piece to like they find like they're getting my energy or harvesting my energy or siphoning me from them surveilling and watching me visit my grandma. And so they were also doing spell work on me as I was doing that, and so I realized, it was time to go. So then after I was like made that decision, I also had to make a really tough decision to say goodbye to my dog, my bestie, Ani, because my false mother, who claimed to be my mom, but is not really, she had been like using her as a bargaining chip with me and abusing me. And so I very much now know that, when I say stuff like it's above me, or I often say that it feels like when, people do me wrong or like do me dirty, that they always get it either they get it back, or it's just like it doesn't matter, because it's like they always get their karma, and horribly. And for a long time I just thought it was because of my own spirituality and who I am, but now I realize it's definitely because I have a mother on the other side of things, and I think that is amazing in and of itself. And I think that people think like, oh, like how could she be dealing with, or like why isn't she just like so distraught or destroyed about this or whatever. And it's because if you listen to this podcast, if you've listened to anything that I've really said, I was never treated right by my false mother. I was horribly abused ever since I was a very little child. She tried to take away like my ability to speak freely since I was around 6 years old. So, like I was honestly like, when my grandmother initially told me the situation, I had to sit with it. And I sat with it for some odd months. And I was in nature a lot. I spent a lot of time in nature, just like, sometimes not even like today I have my like, my journal and everything. But like, it's like some days I didn't even bring like my journal or sketchbook or anything like that with me. Like I just decided to, truly just be in the silence. And there's this woman that I've been watching her reels lately on Instagram, and she is an older woman, an elderly woman, and she's doing this series on ancestry and how to best connect to your ancestors. And she talks a lot about you can hear them in the silence and in the pauses and in the slow moments. And I don't know if I really knew that intentionally or not, but I knew that it was right to slow down with all of the information that was being thrown at me. Some of it was false, some of it was true. They like to play a lot of mind games and manipulation tactics, and I think ultimately they wanted me not even to realize that my dad was my dad. They wanted me just to think that I was a complete orphan, completely adopted and completely alone, because that would then make me feel less powerful, and make me lessen my authority. And they know that there is authority that comes with knowing who and what you are and in loving yourself. So when she initially told me no, like I wasn't like overjoyed. I wasn't like woof, not like that necessarily. I was like woof. I was honestly relieved that like, because I knew immediately when she told me that it was true. But like I was very relieved that my biological mom is not the woman who claimed to be my mother for 38 years. I then processed it, spent a lot of time in nature, a lot of time alone, a lot of time in silence, peace, meditations, went to a meditation retreat, a silent retreat for about 2 days, on and on. But in all that time, I did a lot of sound healing, sound baths and whatever. And I think all of that like deep peace, deep healing, deep reflection that I was doing led me to the truth. And so something also told me to check my ancestry, because I did do my ancestry DNA around the same time this all started happening, which could have been very sus, and which honestly initially was, because Ancestry.com and 23andMe have been flagged for basically like helping to propagate genocide of Black and brown people in America, by tampering with their results and messing with the dashboards, algorithms, whatever. And if you know anything about anything right now, you know that the powers that be, Zionists, cults, Masons, they are the people at the top, the 1% at the top who runs every algorithm, also social media wise, app wise, whatever app you're on, whatever. So they doctored my ancestry initially, but I think they forgot that Ancestry also does updates, which is the good part about it. And so something told me just to check my ancestry. I hadn't checked in months and months and months. But they tended to do updates here and there. And I think they weren't, because my gang stalkers were so obsessed with everything else that I might know that they just forgot to check and update my ancestry. So they forgot to doctor it. And my mom, the last time I checked a couple days ago, my mom was no longer even on my ancestry, nor was her brother, my false uncle, or anyone on that side of the family. It shows my dad, and then it shows my birth mom is blank. And my grandma, told me who she is. And most of the people that have been gang stalking me know who I really am. They know who my celebrity mother truly is. They have known this for years, and that's why I've also been heavily watched since a child. So, I think that, it's just like, it all kind of came to a head, and I think I really just dealt with it through self-love the best that I could. But also, like, I've always known something was wrong and something was off, and I think if you aren't with your biological parents, there's something internally that always is going to tell you. So, since the first time I got away from my family and moved to LA for over a decade, like when I did that, I made a very strong commitment that I was going to know, find, and love myself in every capacity, and love every bit of who I am and who and what I am and what I can bring to others, what I can bring to life, what I can bring to artistry, what I can bring to the art industry. And, so I kind of just decided to move with it through self-love. Even my grandma asked me, like, well, how are you dealing with it? And she was like, you're just taking it as it comes? Like, one day I was like, yeah. Like, I think it takes a while for me to really process things, and I honor that. And so I took about 2 months to really honor after she told me that my mom, it wasn't my mom, all of this stuff, because some of it was like, she wasn't supposed to tell me, like she risked her life in telling me this. And so some of it was mixed with a lot of untruths and this and that. And so I had to decipher. I also went to a reader who is Romani, like a real gypsy reader. And she told me that what they did when I was born, because I was like, one of the people that they hired, and many people have told me, like, whatever your parents did, they made this decision when you were very, very little, or a baby. It's essentially like they sold me as like property to be proper for like other people's likenesses, to be able to be mimicked by others, because that's what they do to celebrities. Like, for example, Michael Jackson, which was watched all his life to the end of his death. MIA has had huge problems with people like surveilling her due to her. It's because of a lot of the celebrities are these like quote unquote chosen beings with like very heightened DNA. And if you know anything about Israel and Zionists, they're obsessed with DNA. They're obsessed with heightened DNA. They think if they drink blood of certain people with heightened DNA, it can give them powers. But I think what a lot of people don't know is a lot of cults in America who have been paid off by Zionists also follow the same belief and rhetoric and are out for people's blood as well. When it all really came to a head, and when I knew that was absolutely not my mother, was in March when I was trying to take my dog on a walk. She wouldn't let me into my own childhood home. She was talking to me through a crack in the window, and I just got upset. And I never had been in a fight in my life ever before that, but I was just tired of her and her lies and her extreme abuse, physical and mental and emotional. And she was trying to talk to me out the window, like she's above me, not letting me into the house. She treats me like a slave. So I just grabbed her hair. I grabbed her and I pulled her down from the window. And I then pulled myself up into the window into the house to get my dog. After that, she basically was threatened to call the police. She always threatened that, like, basically her name is actually Karen, and she is a Karen. So I was tired of being threatened, my sanity being threatened. So I just took my dog to the park, and then 2 giant SUVs came full of cops. They took me away, took my dog back to her home, and then I was tested for about 24 hours. All my blood was taken, blood pressure. They took lots of blood. I made sure at the hospital to tell them to leave my blood under anonymous, because I knew what they were doing. They were about to try to take my blood so they could drink it. So I put it under an anonymous name, and then they sent me to an actual psych ward. I was away for about a week. From a psych ward, they sent me to an actual, a prison psych ward. But the goal was really, and with all that they've been doing for all of these number of years, was to get everyone to turn on me, to tell everyone I was crazy, mentally ill, so that they could lock me in there forever and test me, take my blood, and I would just be locked up. And the day I actually got out, I saw that my mother had a whole Easter brunch laid out at the table. It's like they were celebrating me being gone forever. So how I actually got out, though, was because the judge, I ended up, when they took me to the quote-unquote jail slash psych ward, which is called Santa Rita, which I now am part of advocating against, because it is a horrible, terrible place where they don't even have food that is actually fully edible. But once I was there, they wanted to really mental health me up, so they took me to a psychologist at first, and then I just told her my story. And then immediately she said, she was like, did they try to put you in a false conservatorship? And I was like, yeah, actually, yes, that is what's happening. And I don't have mental health issues. Actually, I am an actual mental health artist who exists to create art to heal, help people heal through their own mental health issues, disturbances, experiences, and find love and peace and presence and joy along their journeys. So I gave her my website, and she forwarded it to the judge who saw my site. And yeah, so I was let out after a week, and with nothing, because when I was taken, my mother also took my purse, she took my wallet, she took my keys to my place, she took everything. So then I had to find my way back home by myself. I walked most of the way from like Way Valley jail prison, and then by the time I got to her house, they had thrown all my shit on the side of the house, basically like I was dead to them. And so then I just went back to my apartment. She wouldn't let me see my dog, nothing. So after that, I realized there was something deathly wrong. Like, she was not only happy that I would be locked up and locked away forever, but celebrated it. And I just knew, like, she wouldn't care if I was dead or alive at all. And so I knew that was not my mother. Real mothers don't feel that way. And I am just so blessed that my grandma was able to confirm that for me, and with me, and be there for me when I got back, because my grandma was the only one who comforted me after they tried to set me up for like the 50th time. Because what they also did was like, so my family were the ones who made a deal with Israel, made a deal with blah, 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 because I was a celebrity's daughter. But then they were already involved in cults, so they had all this cult ritual, weird, dark shit going on. Basically, I'm like a legacy. Like, I learned that I am on both sides, even though my mother is not my biological mother, but on both the sides, I'm like 4th, 5th generation back, Freemason. And so, yeah, they wanted also to sacrifice me for my DNA, for my blood, for my quote-unquote powers and magic. And they were supposed to sacrifice me because child sacrifice works. You're supposed to probably sacrifice a kid by 27, otherwise they'll fully come into their power, and it's harder to do so. My 27th birthday was a nightmare. And yeah, there was just all the catty mean girls involved, you know, like there was Stacy and Erica and Ashley and Courtney and people like that. These girls who were then like hired, bribed, to mess with me, to play with me, to play with my life, to fuck other people behind my back, to mess up my business deals, opportunities, transactions, etc. On that particular birthday, they had also bribed a guy that I was dating at the time. His name was Justin Foster, and they had him basically like abandon me on my birthday in Vegas when we had planned to go there and link up together and celebrate and all that. So anyway, that's just like a tiny little example, but it's like of the nasty plays that these people have been operating in my life to try to siphon my energy, try to tell me that I'm less than I am, less than them, because they all knew who I am. I'm like, they know whose celebrity daughter I am. That's also what their obsession is about. But they, they're narcissists, and narcissists just keep going. And so what's happening is they're just gonna keep going, I guess. I'm personally done with it. That's not my mother. A lot of you listened to who my mother said that I was, when that's not even my biological mother. So I don't know what's going to become of that, but I do know that this is a new chapter of my life in which I am not tolerating any abuse, any talking down to me, any gaslighting, any abuse, any belittling, any diminishing of my artistry. I fully know who I am. I know whose daughter I am. I know whose daughter I am on both sides. I know what I'm meant to do. I know what I'm meant to teach. I know what is my path, journey, and mission while I am alive. My mother did not get to live her full life My mother also had another daughter. Her daughter did not get to live her full life as well. And so I'm pretty much the only one who made it. And I think that I deserve to live it to the fullest. And I think I deserve to spread the message that art saves lives and self-love heals, and that girls don't deserve to be trafficked. Because I'm pretty tired of it, honestly. And I think a lot of other girls and women are too. So this is just my little, I just needed an update to kind of debrief and to just really bring it all together. And this is just my, kind of conclusive message to really just bring it all together and to bring it all home, because I've talked about this for so many years on this pod. And I don't really want to get into it that much more in depth. I do have a more private podcast that is coming out on my personal Patreon, in which I will go into more spiritual aspects of things and my practice of Zen, my kind of how I weave nature and artistry into my life, all that, my journaling, prompts, tips, lessons. And then in STUK Design's Patreon, we have now uploaded all of our workshops and will continue to do so, and that we're going to have self-love Sunday messages for you guys. So that is going to be more interactive as well. If you want to hear more about my story and the details of what I've experienced, it's all on here. And I think we can all learn from those past episodes, because even though I didn't know the details of what was happening, I knew what was happening, and I knew who was coming up against me, and I knew the malicious ways they were playing with my mind, heart, and soul. And I really have created this podcast as a way for you to navigate out of that, a way for you to affirm yourself and your life. So I really have created this podcast, this episode, and decided to tell this story so that other people could stand in what they know is to be their truths. You are magnificent, you are brilliant, you are bold, you are fabulous, you are powerful, you are stronger than any regime. You can do it, you can make it, you got this. You can tell your truth, you can share your truth. You got this, you are the truth, you are the light, you are love. You can have anything you want in this world. You are absolutely infinite, magical, miraculous, and golden. You are glistening and glittering in this beautiful sunshine. Have a beautiful day, no matter what time and space you are in, and walk boldly in what you know to be true. Don't let anyone stop you. Love you. Bye.
Hi everyone, hope you liked that episode. We are all about preaching self-love and empowering women and girls around the world. Support us in our journey as we provide art supplies and many more resources to girls in Ghana through our two programs, the Fly Girl Initiative and Little Heartists. We are also working on hosting more Color for a Cause events, as well as our No Filter school tours. Your help will enable this organization to work on bettering the lives of people around the world. For more information, visit our website www.stukdesigns.org.